Is reality real? Okay, let's dive right into what might sound like one of the biggest, most absurd questions you can possibly ask. But here's the thing. It's a question that scientists are taking very, very seriously. Seriously, just look around you right now. I mean, the chair you're on, the screen you're looking at, the room, it all feels so solid, so undeniably real, right? But what if I told you that what you're seeing isn't reality as it truly is? What if it's actually more of a convenient illusion? Okay, now let's be super clear here. This isn't some nothing is real conspiracy theory. Of course, there's an external reality. The world definitely exists. It's just we don't see it as it is. We can never see it as it is. See, the crucial point is that our brains don't have this direct line to reality. All we get is information through our senses. And our senses, well, they're not showing us the full objective truth. They're just showing us a version that's useful for, keeping us alive. So how do we wrap our heads around this? Let's start with a really simple example that perfectly shows how our minds add these extra layers of meaning on top of the raw data our eyes are actually getting. All right, imagine this. You're just walking down the street, minding your own business, and you see some graffiti spray painted on a wall. And let's say the words are something you find deeply offensive. Instantly you feel it, right? You have this physical reaction. Your heart starts racing. You feel outrage. It's this wave of anger that just washes over you. The whole experience feels so direct, so real. It's almost like the wall itself is attacking you. But here's the crack in reality. What if you couldn't read the language? Think about it. The exact same light would hit your eyes. The same signals would shoot to your brain. But you would feel nothing. It would just be a bunch of meaningless shapes on a wall. Your outrage didn't come from the photons or the paint. It came entirely from the meaning your brain slapped onto those shapes. It proves that we see so much more than what our eyes actually detect. So what's really going on here? Well, a great way to think about it is like a computer's desktop. You know, all those colorful icons? They aren't the reality of the computer's circuits and code, right? Of course not. But they are super useful for getting things done. Your senses, they're basically the same thing. They're a user interface for reality. Okay, so let's get a clear definition on the table. When we talk about objective reality, what do we mean? Well, scientists mean the stuff that would continue to exist even if there were no creatures around to perceive it. It's the atoms, the energy, the fundamental laws of physics, all the stuff that's just out there, totally independent of us. And this is where it starts to get really weird. Because things we think are just part of the world, colors, odors, tastes, they aren't actually part of objective reality. The redness of an apple? The smell of coffee? Nope. Those are experiences completely fabricated by our nervous system. In reality, a photon just has a wavelength, not a color. A molecule has a chemical structure, not a taste. And check this out. This comparison really shows a fascinating glitch in our system. Take sound. If you hear a C and a G played together, you hear the chord, right? But you can also still pick out the individual notes. You get the whole picture. But with color, it's a totally different story. When red light and green light hit your eye at the same time, you don't see a mix of red and green. You just see yellow, a brand new intermediate color. Your brain literally throws away the original information and just gives you a simplified summary. It's not the truth. So why? Why are our senses built this way? Why are they so misleading? Well, the answer's pretty simple. Evolution. Natural selection shaped us with perceptions that are designed to keep us alive. Our senses were never meant to be a perfect scientific instrument showing us objective reality. They were designed for one thing: survival. It's just way more important to quickly spot a hungry tiger than it is to accurately perceive the quantum state of every atom in that tiger. Okay, so we've talked about colors, odors, tastes. That's already pretty mind-bending. But if you think that's where the illusion stops, oh boy, prepare yourself, because the rabbit hole goes so much deeper. This right here is probably the most profound idea of them all. It's not just tastes, odors, and colors that our brain is making up. According to this theory, space-time itself and everything within it are also constructions. The three-dimensional world you see, the forward march of time, even the physical objects around you, they're all just icons in your personal user interface. Wow. Okay, so at this point, you might be thinking this all sounds a little hopeless. right? I mean, if our senses are so fundamentally flawed, how can we ever know anything about what's really out there? Well, the good news is we're not totally blind. We have actually developed some incredibly powerful tools for seeing beyond our own limitations. And this is the really critical takeaway. We have to take our perceptions seriously, but that does not mean we should take them literally. Look, if your senses create an icon of a speeding train coming at you, you absolutely should get off the tracks. That icon isn't the objective truth of the train, but it's pointing to a very, very real consequence that you need to avoid. So how do we start getting closer to what's actually real? One key idea is that reality is transperspectival. Now, I know that sounds like a super fancy, complicated word, but it's actually a pretty simple idea. It just means that reality can't be captured in any single perspective. To get closer to the truth, you need multiple viewpoints. The more perspectives you can combine, the more complete your picture of reality becomes. And what's humanity's absolute best tool for combining all these perspectives in a really rigorous way? You guessed it, the scientific method. It's a system: observation, question, hypothesis, test, designed specifically to get around our personal biases and flawed senses, all in the search for the objective rules that run the universe. And how do we know this search for objective truth actually works? Well, just look around. The proof is in the results. We have airplanes that actually get off the ground. We have robotic vehicles exploring Mars right now. We have antibiotics and vaccines that really work. These things work whether you believe in them or not. And that's a pretty powerful argument that there's a real objective truth out there that we can tap into. Okay, let's wrap all this up with one last truly incredible story. It shows how our tools for finding truth, our scientific theories, can actually become smarter than the geniuses who came up with them, revealing things that were hidden from even the sharpest minds in history. So the year is 1915. Albert Einstein writes down the equations for his masterpiece, general relativity. But something weird happened. When scientists started playing with the math, the equations predicted something totally unexpected and, frankly, terrifying. They predicted the existence of black holes. And Einstein himself? He said no. He just flat out refused to believe it. For decades, he argued that his own equations must be wrong on this point. His gut feeling, his own perception of how the universe should work, told him that these black holes were just a weird mathematical fluke, not something that could actually exist. But guess what? The equations were right. Einstein was wrong. The objective mathematical tool he had built was smarter than he was. It pointed to a piece of objective reality that even his brilliant mind couldn't accept at first. And that story just perfectly sums up our journey, doesn't it? We are these creatures, basically trapped inside a sensory user interface designed for survival. But we have also forged these incredible tools, logic, math, science, that let us peek beyond it. Which leaves us with one last big question. If our theories can be smarter than we are, what else is reality hiding from us right now?